this COSI event seems to me this could be an event producing a learning process. I think to see what happened there, and it was again sold in the newspaper as a natural disaster. It was not a natural disaster, it was a human disaster. Now, I'm coming to your question. I could think, and therefore I showed it, that now, and after this declaration of the Indian Prime Minister, that Nepal and India could begin a dialogue and say, how could we avoid something like that? Should we not have a commission or a committee between here the BR government and the Nepali and so on? Which level, is it province or national? It must be all discussed later. This is not the main point. But this could be used to create a commission, and this commission has a certain task and responsibility, and in this sense gives them a certain legal status, how to cooperate, how to organize all the rescue elements if really a high flood is coming and so on, to check also the scientific thing. This was absolutely predictable that it would happen. Who could have, at the moment when it began on the 5th of August, if you have somebody consulted there, he could say, if it continues for 10 days, then this embankment will not keep, then it will breach. In this sense, create such a commission, give them a legal status, responsibility and so on for the highest level. This could be a short-term, legally binding agreement between two countries even. And if we could start like that, the different countries would learn how to do something like that. I give you an example what happened in the Rhine. The Rhine had a commission to cooperate, exchange data, and we had, you are from Holland, and that's very important, you know. And they knew this water from the Alps is absolutely fundamental for the last one. This is the Netherlands, you know. If it then is cleaned and if it goes in the groundwater first and so on, these are technical details. This was always clear. But in the moment when in Switzerland, the chemical industry of Basel was a big fire in the storehouse of the chemical industry, and then with the water which was used and flew in the Rhine, it was a catastrophe, pollution, all the fish died and so on, but also for all the countries beside, it was a terrible catastrophe. And it was interesting how fast the learning went from then on. Immediately after that, this Rhine Commission came together and said, from now on we need a legally binding agreement. Who is responsible? Who has to pay? Who has to do what and so on? This must be now really like a contract, like a treaty between states. So a catastrophe helped immediately to create a willingness now to make an order in this river system. So for me, the COSI could be also such an event where these countries say nothing, this could have been avoided, but we need now an instrument and so on. And this would be in a shorter term. This can be in a year or two, could be realized without a big convention, but just to learn, and perhaps others would begin to copy it also. The Brahmaputra and so on. Why not? The problem between Bangladesh and India, that it would help a lot to avoid a lot of troubles in the future. So this would be the shorter term, legally binding agreements in an easy way with a very clear focus. But what I said, what you are mentioning, this convention for our region, I know exactly that it is for the moment far away from realization. I thought only, look, think 30 years ahead. How would the world be like? We don't know. I mean, with this financial problem, we have seen how this all is connected in a way. And we learn here, this water problem, if really China, India is all constructed, these far-reaching canals and so on, And we are growing slowly up to 2 billion people once, perhaps, which are depending from this water tower. For the moment, it is perhaps more than one. But if these far-reaching technical things are done, it could also go to 2 billion once. And imagine then not only the water, but then begins the dam construction. Like Columbia River or so, they have hundreds of dams. Are we also going in this direction in the future here? And the conflicts which are coming, if you store the water there up, and then it is not enough water here down in the right time for agriculture, there are conflicts coming, really. I could not explain this all in detail yesterday, because the DG gave me only 20 minutes and I had 10 more, too much. So this was the problem, but then could slowly grow perhaps the idea we should perhaps have a more a convention idea covering more than only just one river. And in this sense, I had the feeling, now let's set a point where but it needs decades. I am very clear, but we never know what is in 20 or 30 years. So perhaps the moment will once come when they begin to think we need more than only several river agreements, but a little bit as thinking in a real regional way. And then the convention could be an instrument. And until then, we shall have more experience from the Alps, from the Carpathians and so on. And I shall never forget last year in Belgrade, it was interesting. The man from Georgia said, he said, we shall have a Caucasus convention. I said, how many years do you need? He said, 5 years. Nobody thought on a war between Georgia and Russia, of course. He said, we have political problems, but to speaking about water and resources, we could have a convention about these things. Why not, even if there is political differences? He was very optimistic, I tell you. I said, congratulations just now, but I never heard something that said. It's interesting anyhow, and like that, perhaps we begin to learn in the Himalayan and the Kush region also, that it needs more than only small, short-term, just agreements, which are very necessary, very significant, very important, but this is the next phase. It's not my generation, perhaps the next one.